So, Terry, let me ask you, since you happen to be sitting there. Hi. As a pastor in the community that's working this, what kind of feedback are you getting from your congregation with the situation in hand? What's the community pulse and feel?
I think our congregation is like most of the community. You have some that are very positioned against what's happening.
Yeah.
And those that, basically all of our congregation wants the law fixed, period. This is a result of improper laws.
Yes.
And because they are laws, the door's open.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, our congregation they want the law fixed now, yesterday.
Do they want a wall?
I would say the largest percentage of our congregation, yes.
Okay.
They feel like the wall is a portion of what's necessary to secure the southern border, along with increased number of agents, the whole gamut. They don't think the wall is the only thing, but it's a portion.
I would think a certain percent of this community, being Del Rio, right on the border, you're a population of a lot of legal immigrants that came in through the legal process, not through this push and asylum and all that we see happening today. What is their reaction when they went through the legal process or waited or paid, and all of that, and here these people are just coming in and demanding and getting things?
From most of the U.S. citizens that have gone through the immigration process legally,
yes,
and are now legal U.S. citizens, most of them want the doors closed. They feel like people should come here like they came, through the legal immigration system. We are a very diverse community in the sense that because we are a border, there's a strong group here that is very much against the wall, and then a group that's for the wall. So it's divided.
It's mixed.
And so, but I talk to people all the time that are, example, we're eating the other day and some U.S. military guys came in who had been called into the border to help secure. And two little old Hispanic mamas said quietly, "Thank you for what you're doing."
Lovely.
But they did it because
Yes.
they understand they have to be careful what you say, how you say it here. Because this is a large, the population here and their affiliations, you have to be careful how you say what you say.
So that's interesting that you gotta be politically correct right now in a lot of
You have
ways.
to carefully say what you say.
Okay, so that means there's a concern of some pushback in some areas. Where would that pushback be coming from? Or how? I mean, I guess I'm trying to understand from the inside.
I really don't want to get too much into political stuff, but meaning Republican, Democrat, but I will say
Oh, yes,
the political parties have a lot to do with that.
Okay,
And our region is heavily aligned with the Democratic Party.
okay,
And there are many that toe the line, regardless of what's being said.
so basically it's to keep peace in the community because of the different mindsets that are here, regardless of whether you're political or not even. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are those that speak out, but you just need to, you don't want to have a fight
No,
every time you open your mouth.
because you still have the problem.
The problem's here.
Yeah.
That's why we became involved as a church. The problem's here.
Yeah.
It's not of our choosing, it's not of our desire nor our design, but
Do you see it as a way of protecting your community?
It's part of it.
Helping, so that they're not just dumped in your community?
Absolutely. I wrestled at the beginning with becoming involved in it, very honestly. as a pastor and knowing what my opinions are and what I feel like needs to be done, but it's not being done. But the bottom line is, when feet are on the ground here in our community, we either become a part of the answer to the immediate situation that we can address, or we have no answer at all. And so our answer here is, we have approximately 125 to 150 people a day being released in our community.
And we're day 8. He said it started small and you're already at that kind of number. Are you concerned that at some point this could be 300, 400 people a day?
Well, we have been told by the officials at the numbers as they currently are all along the border. That's why some are being brought in here. The other detention facilities where they must be taken when they claim asylum and processed, they are inundated with thousands of people. The Border Patrol that we have communicated with originally came to us and said,
Help!
this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Right now we're releasing 8, 10, 12, but in just a short period, we're going to be 150 a day. So please, can you help us? Or else they will be released on the streets.
And so today was your church's day to provide food, or I saw you bring in food.
Yes, we brought in lunches today.
And that's coming out of your own congregation to do that.
Absolutely.
Because the government is not paying for this,
No.
we're talking about a very small community here of, what'd you say, 45,000?
35,000.
35.
45 in the counties.
Okay, and that's a huge financial impact on churches.
Yes.
And from my understanding, most churches don't have a lot of extra play in their budget.
Right.
How are you looking as a church at being able to continue to do this if this is a year-long or however long project?
That is one of the legitimate questions that we're asked often. How can this be sustained? How long will we need to do this? And the answer is, we don't know. And the answer is, we'll do what we can do as long as we can do it, as much as we can do to help and still function. We brought in 122 lunches today. That's with us shopping to get the least expensive items that are necessary for a lunch: chips, a juice pack, bread, cheese, lunch meat, and an apple. This is what our lunches consisted of. And that was just a little under $200 for those supplies for one day.
At one day. Is there an evening meal? Does somebody else bring in an evening meal, or do they try to get them out by then?
Yes, we have to have food here because our goal has always been transition these people out ASAP.
Yeah.
I mean, our goal is that, and these people, those that are coming in, transition those that are released to us out the same day. But
Wow.
it's not always possible.
Logistically possible, yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
So we understand that sometimes, example, there's a young man over here that when we brought the lunches in, he because yesterday I carried him to the airport. He did not have a ticket, but he has a family member in North Carolina that has sent their credit card information to purchase 2 tickets for him and his son that's traveling with him. But when we got there were no seats available. We tried to purchase those in advance, but it was within a 2-hour window, and you don't know, you just have to show up. So there were no seats available. So he's here, and I just talked with him. He just told me he has a flight, but it's not until 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. So he will have been here 2 full days and an evening.
Which then that messes up all the numbers of processing, especially if you start having that kind of a bottleneck working against that continuous turnover. That's your goal.
Right.
Wow.
But he is not the norm in the sense that since I've been involved here, most of the time we can transition people out in at least one day. a lot of folks, we're able to get them transitioned from here in the same day they come in. If they're catching a bus someplace, one of the main things we try to do, that we do a lot, is we get them from here to San Antonio. San Antonio has a major hub there for receiving those that are transitioning.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Are you familiar with any other locations that this same processing is going on in the state?
Well,
You just mentioned San Antonio, so.
Eagle Pass is an area where they're doing it. Of course, the Rio Grande Valley
Yeah.
is major. El Paso, major. A lot of groups are coming here now because, very honestly, what we're doing with the organization has not been done anyplace else. There are other people that are doing it, but we started with the freedom, breathing properly, to organize, and they were just inundated trying to go hit miss as they were going along. So it's been easier for us for that reason.
If I remember correctly, maybe 6 weeks, two months ago is when the Border Patrol first began approaching y'all as to
Yes.
what was coming. And so as the group then, did y'all begin planning and organizing and trying to figure out how you're going to handle this?
Yes, we began to meet immediately and have organized, formed our own 501c3, Val Verde Border Humanitarian Coalition. That's why we did it. And then began immediately to lay out the logistics of what are we looking at, how can we do this, knowing some of it's all going to have to be tweaked as we're going, but we've got to get the foundation in place. We begin, communicating with the county, the city, the emergency groups.
Yeah. How far down the road are y'all planning or thinking, just because of what you're hearing from, the border?
We have an open-ended vision here. By that I mean we have no idea.
Yeah.
We're being told. We ask, and
And they have no idea.
We have no way of knowing.
So it's totally dependent on what Congress and the president is able to do in stopping this flow however they can.
And it can't be until the laws are fixed and it's this
my.
door is closed.
Yeah.
It's an open funnel just coming.
What are some of your major concerns with what you're seeing?
As an American, I'm very concerned for the tremendous influx of people that are coming into our country.
Do you see them coming in as wanting to assimilate and become Americans, or because we see the video footage on the national news of them carrying their homeland flags and different things like that? What kind of feel are you getting from, and I know it's just a brief moment that y'all are even seeing, so it might be
I
too
believe
big of a question.
most of those that I have had anything to do with here, they are, irregardless of why they're saying they came here, which they know what to say, they're chasing the American dream. Very honestly, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're coming here to work, they're coming here, that's what they want to do. I mean, they want to go through the process and be naturalized or have the opportunity to work and live here and be here. I very honestly, maybe Sean can say something different, of all those that I've dealt with in the transition time here, I have had no one that's had malicious, aggressive, what I would be considered to be threatening attitudes, or even, almost all of them. Some are a little cautious, but I think once they get here, they get out of the Border Patrol's
Yeah.
constraints.
And it's a real mix, it looks like, of culture. I've seen a little boy with red hair, and I've seen black, Hispanic, well, I don't know if they're Hispanic, depending on where they're from, just
Hispanic, most of them,
all of the different shades of skin color.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of those that we're receiving right now are Honduran, Guatemalan, El Salvador, some from Nicaragua. That's mostly what we're seeing.
Cubans?
I don't think we've seen any Cubans here. I now know from reports there have been some that have come across, and other nations. But talking about what we've seen here, and I think one of the reasons is what we are dealing with here mostly, well, it's totally family units. They don't get here unless they are a family unit.
Okay.
Now, that's got to be verified by the Border Patrol. Some of that's questionable. We understand all those issues. But when they come here, they've been vetted, processed by the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol says, to the best of our ability, this is a family unit.
This child is connected to here. Or do they have to have children, or could it be a husband and wife?
No, they have to have a child.
They have to
There has
have
to
a
be
child.
Yes.
Okay, that brings up something that I had heard on a previous trip down here about, I guess you call them coyotes, that have been going to the schools and offering the children, children, money to go back across to help illegals come across. So have you seen any of that in your community?
I'm not personally aware of any of that through this.
Right.
You know, we know that stuff, according to reports, is happening.
Yeah.
We understand that. I think one of the things that we feel, that helps us feel better here, we know there's illegal stuff being done that's terrible, meaning we know that children are being trafficked. We know that from the reports and people, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that helps me personally, and I think all of us that are involved that I know of, most of us are believers. Most of us have hearts.
And so you're working to help the families that are in really tough situations.
When they get here, they're people.
Yeah, yeah. You were saying that they're missing things like shoelaces and
Shoelaces
what
are
kind of
taken
thing?
from-
I mean, this is something we
shoelaces
don't
are
think
taken
of.
from all of them when they are going to custody, but because of security issues.
Oh, because they could hurt somebody with it, choke
Well,
somebody.
and suicide and other things like that. It's just the way that those things
Yeah.
were handled.
Wow, something we would never think of. What other kind? They just need their basic. Because what are they basically traveling with? Anything?
Basically nothing.
They're just walking away from their home, every possession.
Yes. I think most of them, when they come, have maybe a little bag with some clothes, a change of clothes or water or something like that. But no, they're not bringing. Of all those that I've seen, there have been a few that have had a backpack. Most of them have nothing.
But I've seen a lot of them out there, they have a cell phone.
Some of them do have cell
Yeah.
phones.
It's amazing how important that one it is for us too.
Yeah, and well, and if you think about it, traveling a month to get here, your only connection to someone on this end and probably someone on that end and in between is a cell phone.
Yeah.
And the
And
one
you got to
girl-
plug it in and charge it somewhere along the
plug it
way.
and charge it,
Yeah.
and you can make a connection.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's one of those things for me personally. It's a very challenging situation, as you saw.
Yeah. Yeah. But for this facility here in Del Rio, the one that the churches are operating and or helping to facilitate might be a better way of putting it. Y'all are, to the best of your knowledge, only receiving legitimate families that are in great need.
We have not. There has been one, to my knowledge, one situation that happened when we just first began, and we did not know how to handle it. Now we do, where a little girl said, "This is not my mother."
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
That's the only one I'm aware of, and that was when we first began the process here, and we didn't know who to call if there's anything like that we suspect.
Yeah.
But that, to my knowledge,
For
is
the child's safety, yes.
Yes. She wasn't terrified or anything.
Yeah.
And the individual that was actually working with those two is a lady and a 7 or 8 year old girl. It was her first day to volunteer, so she was learning what to do, what not to do, and suddenly there's an influx of 15 people and another 15 people.
Wow.
She didn't even really, it didn't even really register what was being said until later. She went, that's when the question was asked,
Yeah.
and we then began to pursue, what do we do if this happens? To my knowledge, that's the only incident we've had here,
Wow.
of all those that we've processed.
Any questions you would want to ask, or you, Misha?
Do you know what they do with the ones that aren't family units that are coming across? Where are those going? How do they handle those?
They're being detained by Border Patrol, and they are being separated. meaning the children are being held until they're put into custody with the officials here in the States. If they see fraud, and that is going on, there's no question about it.
But I mean, the young men and stuff that are coming over that don't have family units,
These-
what's happening to them?
They are being processed differently because they do not fall into, they still fall under the same laws that have always been there. This is a window that is totally different. That's why everybody that comes through here is a family unit. It's only the family unit that claims asylum when they're apprehended by the Border Patrol that has the avenue of immediately being held by Border Patrol, taken to a detention center, processed, interviewed, paperwork prepared for them, and then released. The others are handled totally different. I mean, they're still, if they came in illegally, they'll be held and they'll be checked, ID'd, etc. And most of them are still being sent back to the countries of origin. It's totally different. This is that unique window that's why there's such a
That's why they're
flood.
wanting the children.
That's why all of these here are classified as family units, whether it's a man and a child, a woman and child or children, man and a woman and children.
Do you know if the Border Patrol is doing the DNA swab? We've heard that on television. Of course, that would be before they get here, obviously.
I do know that they were not as of a few days ago here because, one, the time frames and all the stuff involved in it is not even realistic within the time frames.
Oh, wow.
That they have to be released and transferred out.
Hadn't even thought about that.
And there's so many that are being apprehended, let's say Rio Grande Valley. They're inundated, they can't take anymore. So they're almost immediately, or within a day or so, processed out. That's why there's an airplane, at least one every day now, flying in here with 135 people on it.
That's what, we actually can see that on Facebook, that they're flying them in from the
And that's
Rio
just
Grande
because
Valley.
of the other areas are inundated. Del Rio sector, our detention center was not at the same capacity as them, and they can't handle any people, so they're now bringing this number here. So
Wow.
yeah.
So, do you have other churches outside of the Del Rio area that are helping? Are they sending funds? Are they doing anything to help cover some of the cost? Or are the, for the most part, the churches locally just looking at whatever y'all can do within yourselves financially?
There are other organizations outside of our area that are helping. That, like denominational groups, example, United Methodist, they've sent in 5,000 some odd packs with washcloth, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, that sort of thing. Others are helping with portable showers, blankets, all sorts of things. It depends on the situation. You know, there are many like the church of I pastors is a non-denominational church. Even though I'm affiliated with many other churches, it's not a denomination as such.
Correct.
We're fellowship oriented only. So what we're doing is communicating out and saying, here's the need, here's what's going on, here's what's really happening here. If you want to help, your churches want to help, the best thing you can do is take an offering, send it to us. We'll guarantee it goes to food. We're doing this every week, every day. We're transferring people. So that's how we're doing it.
Because you're picking up the cost of the gas to even transfer.
The gas and the transfer.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
What do you think financially on a monthly basis at the level of what you're doing right now it's going to cost your church?
Well, just the meals, just let's say basically close to $200 for what we did today, just a little under 200. So we're at this time we're only doing that once a week, but we've also already provided on 2 different days breakfast, meaning 4 gallons of milk, about 20 boxes of cereal, bananas, etc. Almost $200.
So you're looking easily at $1,000 or more dollars, especially when you add your gas and
then
everything.
fuel, I just filled up on a go, right at $60.
Yeah,
for the
and
van. So,
Wow.
it's, yeah.
Yeah,
So, but we, and really, our last Sunday, 4 weeks ago, I talked about it in Sunday morning service. This past Sunday, I ministered, and then at the end, I took 20 minutes and went down it again and talked about it and said, this is what we're dealing with, this is what we're going to do. You don't have to be a part of it, no pressure, no one has to. But if you can, then come in. And we put a plate up and said, give. We had $250 that was contributed Sunday, specifically to.
so it covers this week, yeah.
Covers this week.
Yeah.
And I'm letting them know what it cost. We had
Of course.
we had a fellowship last night, honoring a couple of guys in the church military that are transferring out to other bases. And we packed the sack lunches there as a church.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, here's what it costs, just right at $200, a little under $200. This is what this buys.
Yeah, wow. If you were going to say anything to the world outside of Del Rio, what would you say about what you need, about what's going on, about whatever?
Well, first of all, I say pray for our nation, for our leaders.
Yes.
That's my first admonition.
Yeah.
Pray for our leaders. I don't think there's any Americans that I'm aware of that are against immigration. But laws need to be upheld. Laws need to be proper to protect the individuals that want to come and to protect our nation, our citizens.
Yeah.
So pray for our nation, pray for our leaders, first of all. And then find a way to be a part of the solution. And if that be where you live, calling your representatives to let them know what you think about what's going on and how we should move forward as a nation, do it. They're not up there supposedly to do their own thing. They're a representative sent.
Yes.
So call them. Let them know what you think about the situation. You can also partner here by the Val Verde Border Humanitarian Coalition is on Facebook, and that's this organization. It is a 501c3.
Okay, so people could donate.
It's open to receive donations on Facebook, on the webpage, or items, people want to collect items and communicate here, see what we need and bring stuff in, that'll work too, so.
All right. Any last thoughts on anything?
Well, we appreciate you guys being here, appreciate the prayers, I appreciate our community. This is it's a real deal here.
Yeah, it really is.
One of the ladies in our church was telling me yesterday that her son, who lives in another state, and I won't go into great detail, was vehemently arguing with her that this is not real, that this is not going on, this is made up, it's not real. And this is a mother talking to her son who lives up north, and she said, excuse me,
Yeah.
we're dealing with 150 people a day
Yeah.
transitioning through our community all over. Please don't tell me this is not happening. Please don't tell me this is not real. And honestly, there are other communities where detention centers are where it's much more prolific even than here.
Yes. Yeah, McAllen.
McAllen, El Paso, some other places.
Yeah.
So we thank the Lord we had time to get organized. It's still just like the deer in the headlights when it's happening because they come in and there's so much going on.
If if the demand increases, you're at capacity. Is there any other facility that you potentially could expand into here in Del Rio?
We are on track for that right now. Another facility would be a sister transition facility.
So you'd have 2 locations going? Yes. Wow. So double people, double everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually in the works right now because with the numbers we are now seeing, we know that we cannot maintain with just this. So.
Yeah. And may the Lord bless y'all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
One concern I had over there, it was just like a communal sleeping area. What kind of security is there during the night?
We are there's a lot of things that are still in the process of working out. A lot of it goes back to liability. That's why this is called a transition center. It is not a shelter. A shelter
Yeah, you'd have to have showers and all
Requires-
kinds of things.
totally, a number of other things that are not provided here, including insurance and all kinds of things that just are not available. So we have a transition center. At a certain time of night, the door is closed and locked from the inside. It can be unlocked from the inside, so no one can come in unless they're supposed to. And there are the city with the police department and the county with the sheriff department are having regular presence for visibility. But that's pretty much it right now.
And my second question was, what have you noticed about the condition, the health condition
Oh,
of the
thank you.
people that have
Yes.
come in?
There are we definitely are dealing with some that are sick.
And they're mixing with the healthy population.
Yes, ma'am, and that is an issue. They are all, when they are apprehended by the Border Patrol, they are all looked at by their EMTs. If they discern anything that is like high fever or anything that they see that alarms them, alerts them, then they are carried to the hospital here or the clinics here. Yesterday, while I was here, 2 children with a parent were taken to the hospital here. The children both had very high fevers, 103-ish fevers. So they were taken there, they were looked at, they were treated.
Is there any nurse or anyone with
We do
nursing
have-
facility?
Yes, one of our, in fact, Marty, her last name, I'm sorry, is with the Methodist Church here, and she is on site. She's one of our leaders here, and she's an RN.
Okay,
And we are working with the health department here in Del Rio. They're involved, and so we're doing our best there. But there are definite sicknesses that are coming in that some people have. Just a fact.
so are all the workers making sure their immunizations are up to date?
That's part of our process that we are working on right now. If a person is uninsured, they can get shots through the county here, clinic. If they are insured, then their insurance will cover that, and we're encouraging all of them.
Get it, and are a lot of them needing to do updates from their childhood vaccinations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not all done yet, but it's something that we are addressing, we are aware of, and we're trying to, in the midst of running at full speed to get this done,
Yeah.
the daily stuff, saying, check this, make sure you check yourself, make sure you get,
Wow.
if you need, we need to update immunizations, do it.
Yeah. Wow.
I had one more question. If you're processing, what, would you say 150, 160 through here today?
I think it was just a little under 150 yesterday.
How many are going through the other ones like McAllen and Eagle Pass? How many are they processing a day? And do you expect that Del Rio is eventually going to get to that amount?
It's very possible our numbers will increase.
Do you know what theirs are?
Some of the areas are doing 300 a day. The numbers are high.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
That's great.